Once again, we're on this journey through the last week of Jesus' life, kind of day by day, walking with him through these events and experiences. Let me just encourage you, first of all, to remember all the activities of Easter week here at Bowling Springs. It's an amazing week. On Wednesday night, we have the children's egg hunt over at the Bowling Springs Community Park. It's going to be an amazing event. Hope you'll come, bring your kids. Even if you don't have kids, you're welcome to come to that. Good Friday service at 7 o'clock here at the church. I want you to be a part of that. And then, of course, the 2 services on Sunday morning of Easter. It's going to be a great week. Looking forward to that. Well, we're at Tuesday. Tuesday was an interesting day. Jesus is now going back into Jerusalem. And really we see his interactions with the religious leaders being amplified and increasing and becoming more confrontive. They're becoming more and more desperate. As a matter of fact, they sort of try to trip Jesus up. Luke says this: they actually sent in spies to where Jesus was speaking and teaching to try to trip Jesus up, to pretend to be righteous, to trip Jesus up as if this was a noble cause. And they would say, well, who has authority? By what authority do this? And they're really giving Jesus these unanswerable questions they don't even have the answers to, trying to trip him up. But in reality, Jesus, who is truth and who knows all things, including their hearts, he answers all the questions perfectly, and they're dumbfounded. And their attempt to trip him up has only caused them to stumble over themselves and continue to be infuriated. And so this intensity of needing to deal with this problem of Jesus, because even though he is less and less popular with them, and he's clearly not acceptable to them, and he's a threat to their authority and their power, he has become immensely popular to the multitudes. And he again is doing miracles, and he's teaching parables and sharing about the kingdom and about authority. As a matter of fact, one of the things they say is they give him a coin and say, should we pay these taxes to Caesar? And he looks and says, well, whose image is on the coin? And they said Caesar. And he says, well, give to Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God what's God. And again, everything he answered just so amazingly was clear and true, and they couldn't deny it, and nor could they answer for it. And so they were continuing to be frustrated in their and infuriated in their attempt and trying to continue to find a way to disrupt or to keep Jesus from really accomplishing his mission or to stop him in his endeavor. One of the little excerpts in this text on Tuesday that I find really just a neat sort of caveat in Jesus' day is he's sitting there watching as people are bringing their alms, bringing their gifts to the temple, and he sees a little widow, and she brings her little mite, her little small amount. Nobody notices her. When the wealthy people come, they throw their money in, and it makes a lot of noise, and it's a big attention getter, and it's sort of, look who I am and look what I've done for God. This little widow, she comes and brings her offering without any fanfare. Jesus sees her and he says, she's the one. She's the one that honors and pleases God. She gave not out of her wealth like these other people. She gave out of her poverty. She gave all that she had. And then Jesus is going to leave the temple. And as he's leaving the temple, it's interesting, the disciples are admiring the temple, the stones, the beauty of the temple. And Jesus makes that statement that again would have been stark and would have been jarring to them. I'm telling you, in 3 days, you won't find one stone won't be on top of another. This temple is going to be destroyed. And so he's speaking figuratively of 3 days. He is the temple of God. The temple is God's presence, and Jesus is God's presence manifested. And so in 3 days, his body will be destroyed and he will die. But he's also speaking prophetically about the AD 70, when Titus would be the Roman leader who would come in and destroy the temple. And he's speaking of what these things that man makes, there can be destroyed, but what God is doing will last forever. And so at that point, Jesus takes the disciples and they go up to the Mount of Olives. And it's called the Olivet Discourse. And Jesus is speaking to his disciples. And it's sort of a private teaching with his disciples. He knows he has now a short time with these disciples that he's given his life and poured his life into. And so he is spending time teaching them about what it means to follow him and to love him. And so it's that time, that precious time there on the Mount of Olives. Let me ask this question on this Tuesday as we think about Jesus as he's searching our hearts. He looks and sees us. What are we giving of our lives? What are we sacrificing? What are we offering? Are we hearing him? He's teaching of things to come. He's telling the disciples not only things to come immediately, but in the future of the end times. And in all of that, what he wants to say to the disciples and what we need to see on this Tuesday is that keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep looking at Jesus. Give of ourselves to Jesus. Follow Jesus and offer ourselves to him. And so that's the question for us today. As Jesus watches us give our lives daily, as he sees us go about our activities today, would he be pleased with us and say they're giving out of all that they have to glorify me and to honor me? And so I encourage you on this Tuesday of Easter week to just spend some time thanking the Lord for his love and for his gift to you, and then a commitment to say, Lord, help me to give of myself sacrificially and generously to you.